Stop reading manifestation books and do this for real results. Presented by Boundless Books Audio. Introduction. Welcome to Boundless Books Audio, where we bring you powerful insights and actionable wisdom to transform your life. If you've spent hours reading about manifestation but haven't seen real results, this audiobook is for you. It's time to go beyond theory and start making tangible changes. Let's get started. Deep within ancient wisdom lies a truth so simple and powerful that its revelation transforms all who embrace it. You've walked this earth believing yourself to be a seeker of abundance, a student of manifestation, someone who must learn to attract what you desire. But here's the big revelation: you are not the magnet. You are the source. The universe doesn't grant wishes like a genie in a bottle. The universe reflects truth, and the deepest truth is this: you are the creator of your reality, not its hopeful recipient. This truth has been guarded, for generations, whispered in ancient symbols, waiting for those ready to embrace its power. Think about how you breathe. Do you ask the air for permission? Do you beg for it to enter your lungs? No, you just breathe. It's natural. Creation works the same way. You're not here to beg the universe for favors or wait for signs. You're here to create with the same certainty with which you breathe. The law of attraction, as it's been taught, is only a shadow of this deeper truth. It speaks to us about manifesting as if we need to attract something external to us. But here's the twist: nothing exists outside of you. You are the raw material of the universe expressing itself. This book won't give you visualization techniques or methods for attracting desires. It will give you something much more powerful: the keys to remembering who you truly are. As you progress through these pages, you will undergo an initiation not into new knowledge but into an ancestral memory. You will stand on the brink of an understanding that will transform the very foundation of your existence. The power you've been seeking has always been within you, not waiting to be discovered, but to be remembered. This isn't about becoming someone new, it's about waking up to who you've always been. Part 1: The Awakening, Breaking the Illusion. In a city filled with noise, hustle, and bustle lived Walter, a man whose home was filled with books on manifestation and journals filled with affirmations. Every morning, he stood in front of his vision board, eyes closed, visualizing the life he dreamed of. Every night, he wrote elaborate scenarios of his future success. Month after month, year after year, and yet reality remained the same. One autumn afternoon, sitting in a small cafe and sunk in frustration at yet another failed attempt, an old man at the next table spoke to him. "You're trying too hard to attract what's already yours," he said, his eyes filled with eternal wisdom. "A bird doesn't attract air, it simply spreads its wings." Boom. That simple message broke down the wall that had kept Walter trapped. He realized he'd been viewing his desires as something distant, something external, and that very belief was creating the distance. The universe doesn't operate under the law of attraction. It operates under the principle of expression. The flower doesn't attract growth, it grows because that's its nature. You're not attracted to circumstances, you express them from within. It's not empty philosophy, it's the fundamental law of existence. Walter understood that his board was more of a barrier to vision than a bridge. His statements were pleas to an external power when all the power already resided within him. Months later, I was living the life I'd previously tried to manifest, but it wasn't by attraction, it was by transformation. He stopped trying to attract success and started expressing it. He stopped seeking abundance and started acting from abundance. The result? The change wasn't in his circumstances, it was in his being. The world you experience doesn't respond to your desires, it reflects your state of being. When you understand this, manifestation is no longer necessary. You don't need to attract what you already are. Practice the mirror of being. 1. Take your journal. 2. Write 3 things that have come into your life naturally, effortlessly. 3. Now ask yourself, what was my emotional or mental state at that moment? You'll realize that those things didn't come because you intensely desired them but because you were in tune with them. Here's the key: it's not attraction. It's expression. In a dusty corner of an antique bookstore, Eleanor found an aged leather-bound book. As she opened it, the dust danced in the afternoon light, and the words seemed to leap off the pages. The forces that shape your life have always been under your control, whether you knew it or not. The universe is governed by immutable laws that operate regardless of whether you believe in them. Just as gravity doesn't need your permission to act, these cosmic laws shape your reality every second. Think about this: when you speak your native language, you don't think about grammar rules, you just speak. Creation works the same way. The three fundamental laws: first, the law of expression, your reality is a direct projection of your internal state. Second, the law of resonance, your internal vibration attracts external circumstances that reflect it equally. Third, the law of perpetual creation, every moment is an opportunity to create a new reality. Eleanor began experimenting with these laws and realized something amazing. They had always been working. His successes, his relationships, even his challenges were all perfect reflections of who he was at the time. The truth was clear: it wasn't about mastering new forces but about recognizing that they had always been on his side. And you too have been creating your life moment by moment, only now you can do it consciously. Practice the threads of creation. First, choose 3 key events from your past, 1 positive, 1 challenging, and 1 unexpected. Second, reflect on your emotional and mental state at that moment. Third, ask yourself, what was I expressing at that point in my life? You'll see that even difficult events had their roots in your internal state. And if you can recognize that, you can change it. Breathe deeply. Now imagine walking the path of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Go back step by step, exploring the months before each key experience in your life. What will you find? A perfect pattern. Your internal state has always been aligned with what manifested in your reality. And here's the key: these aren't coincidences. The little hunches you ignored, the dreams that visited you in the night, those recurring thoughts that seemed to whisper in your ear, all of these were signs. Life has been speaking to you all along, waiting for you to wake up and become your conscious self. When you begin to see the bigger picture, you realize something transformative. Every obstacle you faced was born from your deepest fears, and every opportunity that opened before you was drawn by your highest aspirations. Even those casual thoughts, the seemingly harmless ones, wove their part into the tapestry of your reality. And here's the ultimate truth: you've always been a creator, even in those moments when you thought you were at the mercy of chance. Your mind and energy were drawing the map of your life. Now, finally, you can take conscious control of the process. Imagine a studio bathed in the light of dawn, overlooking the city. Edwin stands there at his drawing table, going over plans with absolute precision. For 30 years, he designed homes acclaimed as masterpieces. But there was a problem: the vision of his perfect house always eluded him. Each new design seemed to have another flaw. Until one morning, something changed. A revelation struck him with the force of a lightning bolt. Do you know what Edwin discovered? That his role wasn't simply that of a house architect. He was the architect of his own reality. And like him, you are too. Your thoughts trace the outline of your world, your emotions paint the colors of your experience, and your attention, that's what builds the very structure of your life. Every circumstance you face is not a coincidence, it's the result of invisible plans designed in the drawing room of your mind. The universe doesn't respond to what you say you want, it responds to who you are. It's a flawless mirror of your consciousness. If you want to redesign your reality, it's not enough to dream or wish. You must review your internal plans. Edwin understood this when he realized that no building arose by accident. First, it exists as an idea. Then, it becomes a plan. And finally, it materializes in the physical world. This is how the creation of your life works too. When Edwin stopped searching the outside world for the perfect house and began aligning his inner vision with his true purpose, everything changed. It wasn't about bricks and mortar, it was about creating from the coherence between his mind and his essence. And here's your truth: every experience, every relationship, every challenge you face was designed by you, perhaps unconsciously. But now, you have the opportunity to become a conscious architect. Practice the inner architect. Find a quiet place. Close your eyes. Now imagine you're standing in front of a huge blank drawing board. This is the blueprint of your life, and you're holding a pencil. Draw the foundation. What beliefs are holding your reality together? Are they solid or fragile? Raise the walls. These are your recurring thoughts. Do they limit you or drive you? Open windows. They represent your perspective. What do you choose to see of the world? Set up doors. Every door is an opportunity. Which ones are you willing to walk through? Feel the texture of the materials we use. Do you have grounds for conviction or doubt? Are your thoughts crystal clear or muddy? Every detail matters because your outer world is merely a reflection of the plane within you. When you finish this exercise, notice how your environment changes, because when you redesign your inner world, your outer world adapts to match it. In a small cabin filled with memories, Martha leafed through old photographs scattered across her wooden table. The evening light filtered through the curtains as her fingers scrolled through the images. It was in that moment of stillness that she discovered a truth that had always been there, waiting to be seen. Martha believed her life was a series of random events, but now she could see the patterns, the same stories repeated over and over again with different characters and settings. It wasn't a coincidence, it was the perfect reflection of her inner world. Here's the secret: you too have an inner architect, and it's none other than your subconscious. It houses all your deepest beliefs, your unhealed wounds, and your most authentic aspirations. And from there, it shapes your reality. The memories you carry aren't just recollections of the past, they're the active architects of your future. If you don't update those blueprints, you'll keep recreating the same patterns over and over again. Martha understood when she found a photo of herself as a young woman. She realized she'd been living the same story for decades with different faces. But here's the magic: by recognizing the invisible blueprint, she was able to redesign it. Practice the revelation of the plan. Take 3 important events from your past, 1 positive, 1 challenging, and 1 unexpected. Now do this. First, track your emotions and beliefs leading up to each event. What thoughts dominated your mind? What emotions did you feel most frequently? Second, discover the patterns. Did your fears create obstacles? Did your aspirations open doors? Third, rewrite the blueprint. What beliefs do you need to release? What new intentions do you want to implant? Take 3 blank sheets of paper and a pen. On the first page, write down the patterns that repeat themselves in your life, those situations that return again and again, disguised with different faces but with the same essence. Observe how certain stories seem to rewrite themselves over and over again. On the second page, explore the beliefs and emotions that might have woven these patterns. Ask yourself, what early experiences shaped my expectations? What memories set the limits of what I thought was possible? Often, the deepest roots are hidden in the forgotten corners of our memory, silently dictating our present. On the third page, design your new map. Write the story as you want it to unfold, not as a distant fantasy but with the certainty that it's possible. Feel it in your bones as if it already exists. Each word should flow from that sacred space within you where truth and possibilities meet. Imagine these new patterns living within you, replacing old patterns with a luminous and vibrant architecture. This is your moment of divine authorship, the instant you take the reins and become the conscious architect of your destiny. The power of now in creation. In a workshop dimly lit by the light that filters through antique clocks, Howard delicately adjusts the mechanisms of his prized pieces. Each tick dot represents a moment slipping away, another future he hopes to reach, another past he still refuses to let go of. But time isn't what you think it is. The past lives only in memory, the future in the imagination. The only point of power, the only place where creation is born, is now. This eternal moment contains within itself all possibilities. And yet we spend our lives trapped between what was and what could be, forgetting the sacred ground we stand on at this very moment. The mind creates the illusion of time, convincing us that what we desire is always in the distant future. But creation doesn't know the future, it knows only this heartbeat, this breath, this moment. Howard understood this one afternoon while tuning an antique clock. For years, he had calibrated time with absolute precision, unaware that he had ever inhabited it. Each tick was another moment lost, waiting for something else, another breath spent trying to get there. Until one day, he put down his tools, closed his eyes, and for the first time, simply was. At that moment, time stopped running, the workshop fell silent, and he realized that he wasn't moving through time, time was moving through him. Practice the eternal now, find a quiet space, close your eyes, and take 3 deep breaths. Feel the weight of your body, the air moving in and out of your lungs. This is the now. Now, allow the state you desire to take hold of you. If you long for abundance, feel its fullness here and now. If you seek love, perceive it vibrating within you. If you desire success, feel fulfilled already. Don't imagine it in the distant future, claim it as your present truth. Stay in this state for a few minutes, let each breath anchor you deeper in the now. If thoughts of the past or future try to intrude, simply return to the present moment. This isn't an exercise in becoming something, it's the recognition that you already are. Manifestation isn't something that will happen someday, it's something that flows from this eternal moment. In a garden overflowing with roses, Clara paused each morning in front of a mirror she had placed among the flowers. The dew still glistened on the petals as she approached the glass, whispering affirmations of love in the hopes of attracting her perfect match. However, with each passing day, the emptiness in her heart grew as if her words floated in the air, finding no destination. The act of wanting creates a powerful yet paradoxical vibration, it's an echo that resonates in the absence of what is desired. When Clara said, "I want love," the universe only heard the emptiness where that love should be. It was this paradox that kept countless souls trapped in endless cycles of searching. The real difference between wanting and knowing lies in a subtle space within consciousness. Wanting something projects the frequency of lack. Knowing something, on the other hand, emanates the energy of plenitude. The universe doesn't respond to your desires but to your state of being. In the midst of her longing, Clara discovered an ancient truth: love was not something to be sought outside but a presence waiting to be recognized within. One morning, as she gazed at her reflection in the garden mirror, something changed. Her eyes stopped seeking and began to see beyond her reflected image. She perceived the truth that had always been there: the love she longed for was not waiting to arrive but waiting to be recognized. She stopped repeating, "I want love," and began to live as love itself. And in that instant, her entire being changed. She went from seeking to expressing, from wanting to embodying. She understood that love had never been absent, she had simply been searching for it in the wrong direction. The mirror in front of her stopped showing her physical appearance and began to reflect her state of consciousness. Because in life, we don't experience what we desire but what we are. The universe doesn't respond to the language of desire but to the law of reflection. Practice the mirror of being, find a quiet space and stand in front of a mirror. Look deeply into your own eyes, don't think about what you desire. Instead, feel what you already are. If you seek love, see it shining in your eyes. If you long for abundance, feel it flow in your breath. If you desire peace, recognize it in the stillness of your gaze. Stay there for several minutes, simply being. It's not about pretending or forcing, but about recognizing what has always been true. Over time, you'll notice your energy shifting from wanting to knowing, and the mirror will cease to be just a reflection of your appearance and become a gateway to your true essence. The first light of dawn had barely touched the horizon when Samuel sat down at his piano. His fingers hovered over the keys as his mind filled with discordant thoughts, piling up bills, missed opportunities, and the weight of failure sinking down on his shoulders. He began to play. The notes that emerged were harsh, chaotic, a perfect replica of the disorder within him. He'd been taught that emotions were simple reactions to life's circumstances. But that morning, as he struck the keys, something inside him began to doubt that truth. Emotions aren't just responses, they're the building blocks of our reality. Like musical notes, they vibrate at specific frequencies that shape what we experience. When you feel anger, you're not just reacting, you're wielding a creative force. When fear paralyzes you, you're not giving in to danger but composing a symphony in a somber key. Samuel discovered that his frustration contained the same energy as his inspiration, it was just a matter of transforming it. He stopped fighting his negative emotions and began to see them as raw material ready to be sculpted. Each feeling became another instrument in his orchestra. One morning, when debt collectors knocked on his door, Samuel took a deep breath and sat down at the piano. Anxiety pounded in his chest, intense and raw. But instead of giving into it, he channeled it into his music. The notes soared, deep and powerful, and something magical happened. The energy that had manifested lack was transmuted into a melody of abundance in the following weeks. New opportunities appeared almost as if they had always been there, only invisible until he changed his vibration. Just as a great composer understands that minor chords are as essential as major ones, Samuel understood that all emotions, even the darkest, have their place in the great symphony of life. Art lies not in repressing what we consider negative but in transforming each emotion into creative power. Practice emotional alchemy when you feel intense emotions, anger, fear, sadness. Don't push them away, feel them fully, acknowledge their energy, and find ways to channel them into creation through art, movement, writing, or even silence. It's not about denying them but about turning them into strength. Because true emotional mastery isn't avoiding pain or clinging to joy but knowing that all emotions are pieces of the same puzzle. And you are the artist who shapes them. When an intense emotion arises, close your eyes and locate its energy in your body. Instead of labeling it as good or bad, feel its raw power. Place your hands over that energy center and imagine it as pure light, neither positive nor negative, simply powerful and alive. Now consciously direct that energy toward what you wish to create. If it's anger, let its fire fuel your resolve. If it's fear, allow its alertness to sharpen your focus. Feel how the emotion transforms not through resistance but through conscious direction, like an orchestra conductor guiding each instrument to play its perfect part. You're not repressing this emotion, you're orchestrating its power. This practice reveals that emotions are not your masters but your instruments of creation. Through this sacred alchemy, what once seemed like obstacles becomes the force that propels you toward your desires. Like a master artist who transforms raw pigments into a masterpiece, you now possess the power to transmute these primal energies into pure creative force. Those feelings you once considered unwanted now serve as the foundation of your manifestations, each emotion contributing its unique gift to the tapestry of your evolution. Under the scorching summer sun, Harold stood in his barren field, clutching seeds in his weathered hands. While others abandoned their land, cursing the relentless drought, he moved with purpose, planting each seed with the same care as if dark clouds were already gathering above his head. You've been taught that faith is a desperate hope, a wish cast into the void, but true faith isn't waiting, it's knowing. It's the unshakable recognition that what seems absent in the physical world already exists in the realm of pure potential. When you plant a seed, you don't expect it to grow, you know that within it is a tree. This knowledge isn't based on external evidence but on an understanding of the immutable laws of nature. Likewise, your creations don't need external validation to exist, they are already complete in the invisible plane, awaiting your firm acknowledgement to emerge into physical reality. Doubt is not the opposite of faith, it's faith in what you don't desire. Every time you question whether something is possible, you're exercising absolute faith in its impossibility. Your doubt doesn't prevent creation, it generates exactly what you fear. Harold understood this truth as he tended his invisible crops. Every morning, he walked among his fields as if the grain were already waving in the breeze. He spoke to his plants as if they were blooming in the sun. His neighbors called him crazy. But Harold remained unfazed. His certainty was not based on what his eyes saw but on what he knew must be. And then one morning, clouds gathered on the horizon. While others rushed to prepare their neglected fields, Harold stood serenely in his. He hadn't been waiting for rain. He had farmed with the certainty that it would come at the perfect time. When the heavens opened, for many, it was the first sign of hope. For Harold, it was simply the physical manifestation of what he had always known. Practice the seed of certainty. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Imagine holding a seed in your hands. Feel its texture, its potential, its integrity. Now plant that seed in the soil of your consciousness. This seed represents what you wish to create. Don't wait for it to grow, it knows it must, because that's the law of its being. Every day, tend this inner garden. Walk through it as Harold walked his fields, seeing your creation as already complete. Water your vision with your certainty and nourish its growth with your faith. Just as a seed is destined to become a tree, what you know with unwavering conviction must manifest in your reality. Now imagine it in such detail that it seems more real than your current circumstances. Observe the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures. Allow all your senses to participate in this creation. And most importantly, feel the absolute certainty that what you are imagining is already yours. Practice this daily, not as a visualization exercise but as an act of experiencing what already exists in the invisible realm. Remember, you are not creating something new, you are simply making visible what already exists in the realm of pure potential. The language of the universe is vibration and frequency. In a dimly lit concert hall, Raymond moved his fingers over the piano strings with expert precision. Every note had to be perfectly tuned, for he understood a truth that extended far beyond music: harmony requires perfect alignment. Your reality operates on the same principle as a grand piano. Every experience, every circumstance, every moment of your life resonates at a specific frequency. Just as a single out-of-tune string can distort an entire symphony, your dominant vibrational state shapes the entire melody of your existence. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, operates through precise vibrational laws. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not mere abstract concepts, they are energetic frequencies that propagate through the fabric of reality like a cosmic tuning fork. You are constantly transmitting a characteristic frequency that the universe must match. Raymond's revelation came when he noticed that on days when his inner state was discordant, even perfectly tuned pianos seemed to resist harmony. He began to understand that external circumstances were merely reflecting his inner frequency. After years of working with sound, he discovered that trying to force a piano to tune was futile. Each string had to be gently guided to its natural resonance. Similarly, he learned that trying to force a change in his life only created more resistance. The key was to first adjust his own frequency. Your external world can only reflect your internal frequency. When you try to change circumstances without first changing your energetic state, you're like a musician trying to play a masterpiece on an out-of-tune instrument. Practice frequency alignment, sit in silence and become aware of your current energetic state. Feel the vibration of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Now imagine the reality you desire as a pure, clear tone. Begin to adjust your internal state through breathing, feelings, and awareness until you feel yourself resonating with that pure tone. Remain in this aligned state until you feel the shift from effort to natural harmony. It's not about forcing change but rather finding resonance with what you wish to experience. Like a perfectly tuned string, your state of alignment will naturally attract and harmonize with similar frequencies in the universe. When you reach this state of perfect attunement, manifestation becomes simple, as natural as a flower turning toward the sun. The universe responds not only to your desires but to the vibrational essence you embody at every moment. Emotion as a creative force. In a sunlit studio, Helen stood in front of her canvas, brush poised in midair. Her paintings had always been technically perfect, but something was missing, the invisible force that makes art transcend mere imagery. Perhaps you've also noticed that identical actions can produce very different results. Two people can say the same words, but one moves mountains while the other barely creates a ripple. The difference lies not in the action itself but in the emotional energy behind it. Emotions aren't simply responses to life, they are the very essence of creative power. When you understand this truth, you begin to see why some thoughts manifest instantly, while others remain mere desires. Your emotional state acts as an amplifier, transmitting your frequency with such intensity that the universe has no choice but to respond. Helen discovered this truth when she began to paint not from technique but from the depths of her feelings. Her breakthrough came during a period of intense joy. A painting created in that state would sell immediately and touch the hearts of all who saw it. However, when she painted out of obligation or indifference, her work remained lifeless, regardless of its technical merit. Your creations follow the same principle. Thoughts supported by powerful emotions materialize more quickly than those accompanied by weak feelings. Therefore, moments of intense emotion, whether positive or negative, often mark turning points in your life. The universe doesn't respond to the content of your thoughts but to their emotional charge. Practice emotional amplification. Choose a wish you want to manifest. Close your eyes and recall a time when you felt incredibly alive, powerful, or filled with joy. Let that feeling grow within you until it fills your entire being. Now, while maintaining this heightened emotional state, imagine that your wish has already been fulfilled. Feel the excitement of having it now. Observe how the combination of clear intention and powerful emotion creates an unmistakable shift in your energy. This practice teaches you to use emotion not as a reaction to life but as a deliberate creative force. Like Helen with her paintings, you will learn to infuse your manifestations with the emotional energy that gives them life. With consistent practice, you'll discover that emotions are the colors with which you paint your reality, the vibrations that shape your experiences. When you master the art of emotional creation, you'll become an expert composer who orchestrates the frequencies that attract your desires and transform them into something physical. Those who shape reality most effectively are not those with the most knowledge or skill, but those who maintain an unwavering focus on their chosen outcome. Lawrence discovered this when he finally stopped analyzing every possible outcome and fully committed to his moves. In that moment of total conviction, his game was transformed. The board became a reflection of his certainty rather than his doubt. Your manifestations follow the same principle. When you hold a vision with absolute conviction, leaving no room for uncertainty, you create a force that reality must bend to match. But when you oscillate between belief and doubt, you disperse the energy necessary for creation. Practice exercise in mental discipline. Sit quietly and choose a specific desire. Hold this vision in your mind with the same certainty with which you know the sun will rise tomorrow. When doubts arise, and they will, don't fight them. Instead, simply return to focusing on the feeling of absolute knowing. Start with 1 minute of unwavering concentration and then gradually increase the duration. This practice strengthens your ability to maintain single-minded focus. The key to powerful manifestation, like Lawrence at the chessboard, is that you'll learn that certainty, not analysis, is what bends reality to your will. Through this practice, you develop the mental discipline necessary for conscious creation. Each moment of sustained concentration strengthens the muscle of unwavering belief, transforming you from someone who hopes to someone who knows. Like a master sculptor who sees the finished masterpiece within the rough stone, you learn to hold your vision with pristine clarity. This unwavering certainty becomes your natural state, no longer an effort but an effortless knowing that flows through every fiber of your being. When you reach this level of conviction, the universe itself begins to bend toward your desires, recognizing within you the divine power of creation. In a small village bakery, Beatrix stood in front of her oven, anxiety etched on her face. The aroma of baking bread filled the air, but her hands trembled with the urge to open the door and check one more time. You, too, know that feeling, the restless energy that arises between planting a seed and witnessing its blossoming. Like Beatrick, you may find yourself constantly checking your manifestations, wondering why they haven't appeared, wondering if they ever will. But creation follows divine timing. Just as bread requires precise conditions and time to transform from raw ingredients into a perfect loaf, your desires must go through their own period of invisible development. Every time you hesitate, every time you try to force the process, you disrupt the very alchemy that shapes your desires. Beatrick learned this truth when her mentor shared with her an ancient wisdom: a baker who trusts the process never tastes failure. Only when she finally let her bread develop uninterrupted did she discover the magic of perfect timing. Her loaves came out golden and risen, proving that patience was the missing ingredient from the beginning. Your manifestations operate on the same principle. When you set an intention, invisible forces begin their work immediately. Your role is not to oversee this process but to maintain unwavering faith in its completion. Just as a seed doesn't require your supervision to become a flower, your desires don't need your constant vigilance to materialize. Practice the exercise of divine time. Choose a desire you've been anxiously pursuing. Close your eyes and imagine placing that desire in a golden vessel of light. Now, consciously release all need to control its development. Feel the peace that comes with complete surrender to divine timing. Whenever you notice yourself wanting to check how your desire manifests, return to this visualization. Remember that true faith requires no proof. Like Beatrice's perfect bread, your desires will manifest not through force but through trust in the invisible process of creation. When doubt creeps into your life, as it naturally will, let it pass like a cloud passing across the sky. Your only task is to maintain the purity of your faith, allowing divine forces to work their magic at the perfect moment. Just as a master chef knows when to step away from the oven, you must learn when to step back and let the universal laws perform their sacred dance of creation. She began to find joy in her solitude, peace in her independence, and fulfillment in her own company. One morning, while tending her garden, no longer needing anyone else, she met Thomas, who had stopped to admire her roses. Their connection blossomed naturally, effortlessly, like flowers opening in the sun. What years of active searching couldn't achieve, genuine abandonment accomplished in an instant. The truth was revealed: Mildred hadn't given up on love, she had given up on the resistance that blocked it. By letting go of her control over the outcome, she allowed the natural flow of creation to move through her life. The practice of letting go is transformative. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed and hold in your mind the desire you've held on to most. Feel the weight of your attachment, the anxiety, the fear of not having it. Now imagine that desire as a balloon in your hands. Feel the string against your palms. Recognize that your tight grip isn't bringing it closer, it only creates tension in your being. Slowly, with love, release the string. Watch the balloon float upward, taking all your anxiety, all your despair with it. This release is not abandonment, it is trust in the perfect unfolding of creation. As you watch the balloon rise, affirm, I release my attachment while maintaining my knowledge that what is meant for me cannot be without me. I am complete just as I am. Practice this ritual whenever you feel yourself clinging too tightly to an outcome. Remember, true power lies not in desperate desire but in peaceful knowledge. The universe conspires to lead you home through a sacred dialogue of synchronicities, repeating numbers, and meaningful coincidences. These signs aren't random, they are the invisible hand of creation reaching out to guide you. When you notice the same symbol repeatedly crossing your path, or when certain numbers follow you, or when meaningful coincidences pile up, you are witnessing the universe's attempt to communicate with you. To recognize the signs, set aside time each night for this ancient practice of divine dialogue. Take your journal and record every unusual occurrence, every repeated symbol, or significant coincidence you notice throughout the day. Pay special attention to numbers that appear repeatedly, animals that cross your path in unusual ways, words or phrases you hear repeatedly, dreams that seem meaningful, unexpected encounters that strike you as significant. Write these observations down without judgment or interpretation. Simply as they happened. After 7 days, review your journal. Look for patterns and connections. You will begin to recognize the unique way the universe speaks to you. Remember, signs appear most clearly to those who are ready to receive them. The universe is always communicating, it is your openness to its guidance that allows you to perceive its messages. The greatest secret of creation lies not in asking but in giving commands. Those who have mastered the art of conscious creation understand that reality does not respond to wishes or hopes but to absolute certainty. When you understand this truth, you transcend the realm of manifestation and enter the realm of pure creation. Your creative power requires no external permission or validation, it flows from your inherent authority as a creator. Just as the universe doesn't ask permission to create stars, you don't need to ask permission to shape your reality. The moment you move from asking to giving commands, everything changes. The practice of declaration: stand in front of a mirror at sunrise or sunset. Place your hand over your heart and say these words with absolute authority: by the power vested in me as creator, I now command. State your intention, and it will be realized. Do not speak as someone who expects or desires something, but as someone who knows their word is law. Feel the authority in your voice, the certainty in your being. This is not a request to the universe, it is a command from the Creator that you truly are. Repeat this declaration 3 times, each time with increasing authority. The key is not in the words themselves but in the unwavering certainty with which you say them. Remember, the universe does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you command with absolute knowledge. The Creator mindset: beyond doubt, beyond struggle. In a small fishing village, Calvin stood at the helm of his worn boat, his muscles straining as he battled the choppy waves. For 30 years, he had believed that mastery meant conquering the sea, until one stormy night changed everything. The ocean, like life itself, responds not to force but to understanding. You've been taught that creation requires struggle, that manifestation demands effort. Yet that is the same illusion that keeps you bound to limitation. True power lies not in fighting circumstances but in aligning yourself with the underlying forces that shape them. Just as a skilled sailor doesn't fight the wind but rather harnesses its power, you needn't fight your current reality. The universe operates through laws, not force. When you understand this principle, you transcend the realm of effort and enter the realm of effortless creation. Think of how the moon doesn't struggle to make the tides move, how the earth doesn't struggle to spin on its axis. These forces operate with perfect precision through alignment, not effort. Your creative power works the same way. Calvin's revelation came during a violent storm. As the waves crashed against his ship, a strange calm came over him. Instead of fighting the ocean's fury, he began to feel its rhythm. He realized that the wind, which he had always fought, could become his ally if he simply trimmed his sails differently. In that moment of surrender, he discovered a profound truth: the sea had never been his enemy. With this new understanding, Calvin sailed through the storm with remarkable ease. The same waters that had once threatened to overwhelm him now carried him safely to shore. He had become a better sailor not through greater effort but through deeper understanding. The practice of effortless creation: find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and think of a current challenge or desire. Now, instead of thinking about how to make it happen, feel the natural rhythm of its unfolding. Just as Calvin learned to feel the flow of the ocean, feel the underlying current that's already carrying you toward your desire. Say these words with calm authority: I release the need to struggle. My power lies in knowing, not in forcing. What I desire flows to me naturally, effortlessly, perfectly. Feel how this state of being differs from one of effort and tension. Notice how your body relaxes, how your mind clears, how your breathing deepens. Naturally. Your shoulders drop, releasing tension. You are no longer struggling, you are aligning. You may not have realized you're carrying this. This is the state from which true creation flows, not through force but through alignment with the natural laws of the universe. Like a leaf effortlessly carried by the current, you move in harmony. Time is an illusion. The quantum nature of creation, time as you have understood it, is perhaps the greatest illusion that surrounds your creative power. You have been taught that manifestation follows a linear path, that between desire and fulfillment lies an inevitable waiting period. This belief alone has kept countless dreams suspended in the realm of someday. The quantum field knows no such limitations. Within it, all possibilities exist simultaneously, waiting not for time to pass but for consciousness to select them. When you truly grasp this truth, you understand that creation doesn't require waiting but only choice. Think of time not as a river flowing from the past to the future but as an infinite ocean where all moments exist at once. Your power lies not in predicting which wave will reach the shore but in deciding what reality you will experience. One day, while Florence was adjusting another stopwatch, something shifted in her understanding. The countless hours she had spent trying to measure time suddenly seemed like trying to capture the wind in a jar. She realized that her obsession with time had become a prison, keeping her bound to an endless cycle of preparation and procrastination. In that moment, Florence stepped away from her workbench and did something unprecedented. She began to live as if the future she desired was already here. She stopped planning for success and began embodying it. She stopped waiting for the perfect moment and realized that perfection existed only in the now. The clocks in her shop still ran regularly. But Florence no longer saw them as indicators of the passage of time but as symbols of the eternal present moment where all creation takes place. The practice of quantum change. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Feel yourself sitting exactly where you are, completely present in this moment. Now, without physically moving, allow your awareness to shift to the version of you that has already achieved everything you desire. Observe how this future self sits, breathes, and thinks. Feel the certainty in their posture, the peace in their heart, the knowing in their mind. This is not imagination, it is you accessing a reality that already exists in the quantum field. Speak from this enlightened state. I am not becoming. I am. Time does not control my creations, I do. What I desire exists now, and I choose to experience it fully in this moment. Remain in this state for several minutes, allowing your awareness to fully align with this reality. Remember, you are not waiting for something to happen, you are simply choosing to experience what already is. Living from the future. In a spot laboratory filled with equations and experimental data, Albert meticulously recorded every variable, desperately searching for patterns that would reveal future outcomes. His calculations became more complex, his predictions more elaborate, yet certainty remained elusive. You've been taught that the future unfolds according to probability. That success must be pursued through careful planning and methodical steps. However, this same belief has kept you tied to a linear path, always chasing what already exists within your reach. The truth about creation is much simpler than you imagine. You're not moving toward your desired reality, you're moving away from it. Every moment holds infinite possibilities, and your power lies not in predicting which ones will manifest but in choosing which ones you will experience. When you understand this principle, you realize that success isn't something you can achieve but a state of being. You must embody the version of you that has already achieved everything you desire exists in this moment, waiting only for your recognition. One afternoon, as Albert was reviewing his endless calculations, his mentor placed a hand on his shoulder and said a few words that would transform his understanding. The future cannot be predicted, it can be chosen at that moment. Albert saw the futility of his approach. He had been trying to chart a path to success when success was already available as a state of consciousness. He stopped behaving like a scientist working toward a breakthrough and began acting like someone who had already achieved it. His behavior changed, his decisions flowed from certainty rather than calculation, and his reality began to reflect this new state of being. The breakthrough he sought emerged not from his predictions but from his transformed consciousness. Practice of future Self-integration. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Feel your current surroundings dissolve as you enter the awareness of your full self. This isn't visualization, it's the recognition of what already exists. Experience this version of you moving through the world. Notice the certainty in their decisions, the peace in their heart, the knowledge in their mind. Let their awareness become yours. From this heightened state, allow yourself to live, breathe, and act. Feel how this version of you has transcended the need for proof or predictions. It simply knows, and in its knowing, it creates. Hold the state for several minutes, allowing it to become familiar and natural, as if sitting in a comfortable chair you've always known. Feel this heightened awareness envelop you like a second skin. Remember, you are not becoming this version of yourself, you are recognizing that you already are. This truth has always resided within you, patiently waiting for this moment of recognition. The only separation between you and your full self was the veil of doubt, which now gently dissolves in the light of your awareness. Mastering the flow of reality. In a small fishing village along the mighty river, Harrison battled the current every day, exhausting himself as he tried to navigate his way to the best fishing spots. His nets remained empty, and his boat suffered as he struggled against the natural flow of the water. You've been taught that creation requires constant effort, that you must push and strive against the currents of life to achieve your desires. This belief has kept you trapped in an endless battle, draining your energy, and moving you further and further away from your goal. The truth about manifestation flows like water, it cannot be forced or controlled, only aligned and directed. When you resist the natural movement of life, you create turbulence that prevents your desires from reaching you. Your power lies not in fighting what is, but in harmonizing with the currents that already flow toward your good. One morning, as Harrison's boat rocked violently against the rapids, he let go of the oars. In that moment of surrender, he discovered that the river knew exactly where to take him. The current guided his craft into a calm, fish-filled inlet, a place he'd never found in all his years of forging his way upriver. Harrison learned to read the river's rhythms, to perceive its natural patterns. Instead of fighting the water, he became one with its current. His nets filled effortlessly, his journey became peaceful, and the river revealed secrets that he could never have uncovered by force. Flow state integration practice. Sit quietly and pay attention to your breathing. Feel the natural rhythm of life moving through you. Notice any resistance, any areas where you are fighting what is now. Imagine yourself as water. Water doesn't fight obstacles, it flows around them. It doesn't push against barriers, it finds new paths. Feel this fluid adaptability within your own being. Let go of the need to control outcomes. Instead, feel the natural flow of life carrying you toward your desires. Trust that this flow knows the perfect path, the perfect time, the perfect way. Remain in this state of conscious surrender for several minutes. Feel how different it is from force or struggle. Notice how clarity and inspiration arise naturally when you stop resisting and begin to flow. This is not passive acceptance, it is an active alignment with the creative forces of the universe. From this state, you move gracefully, guided by an intelligence far greater than any plan your mind can devise. The supreme power of inner silence. In a large concert hall, Evelyn sat at the piano, her fingers hovering uncertainly over the keys. Although she knew every note by heart, her music lacked the magic that transforms simple sound into moving art. She played each piece perfectly, but something essential was missing. You too have felt that hesitation, that gap between technical perfection and true creative power. Like Evelyn, you may have filled every moment with action, leaving no room for the sacred silence where creation truly begins. The universe speaks in silence, in the space between thoughts, between breaths, between moments. Therein lies the infinite potential of creation. When you rush to fill every pause with noise and activity, you drown out the whispers of divine inspiration, and creation arise not from constant action but from the deep stillness that precedes inspired action. This stillness is not empty, it is pregnant with all possibilities, waiting to give shape to your desires. One night, as Evelyn prepared for her performance, she became aware of the spaces between the notes in her score. In that moment, she understood that music wasn't made of sounds alone but of the silence that gave them meaning. When she began to play, she no longer rushed through the pauses but allowed them to resonate with possibility. Her music transformed, touching hearts in ways her previous technical perfection never could. Silence had taught her its secret, that true power flows not from endless activity but from the space where all potential exists. Her music became a dance between sound and silence, each enhancing the other in perfect harmony. Practice integrating stillness. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and let your awareness rest in the space between your thoughts. Notice how this silence feels alive, vibrant with potential. Let your attention sink deeper into this stillness. Feel how it extends infinitely in all directions. This is not emptiness, it is the field of all possibilities, the source from which all creation springs. Stay here, allowing stillness to expand within you. Notice how answers, inspiration, and clarity arise naturally when you stop seeking them. This is the power of aligned silence, the space where miracles are born. When you open your eyes, carry this stillness with you like a precious jewel in your heart. Let it inform your actions, guide your decisions, and amplify your creative power throughout every moment of your day. Feel how this inner stillness transforms even the simplest tasks into sacred acts of creation. For in this sacred silence, you touch the very source of creation, the eternal spring from which all manifestation flows. This is the space where thought becomes form, where dreams take root in reality. Divine creation versus the manifestation of the ego. Gregory sat in his office surrounded by charts, graphs, and endless to-do lists. Each morning he arrived before dawn, determined to bend reality to his will through force. However, the harder he tried, the more resistance he encountered. You've known the struggle, the exhausting cycle of forcing, controlling, and manipulating circumstances, only to find yourself drifting further and further away from your goals. Like Gregory, you may have confused strength with power, believing that creation requires effort and tension. True creation arises from a completely different source. When desires arise from the ego, from a feeling of lack, fear, or unworthiness, they carry within them the very seeds of struggle. The ego creates through force because it believes in separation and scarcity. It sees the world as something to conquer rather than a reflection to align with. Divine creation, however, arises naturally from your connection to infinity. It requires no strength because it arises from wholeness, from the knowledge that you are already complete. This is not manifestation, it is recognition of what already exists. One night, as Gregory sat in the midst of his carefully crafted plans, he realized something. All his life, he had tried to prove his worth through achievement. Every goal, every objective, every desire stemmed from the belief that success would finally make him enough. The next morning, instead of forcing his life, Gregory sat quietly in his office. He allowed himself to feel completely worthy and whole just as he was. From this new state of being, his actions flowed naturally, opportunities appeared effortlessly, relationships improved spontaneously, and success developed organically. The universe hadn't changed. Gregory had, by freeing himself from the need to prove his worth. He allowed creation to flow through him rather than from him. Totality alignment practice. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Feel the fullness that already exists within you. Observe the desires that arise from a sense of lack or unworthiness. Without judging them, simply observe them. Now imagine releasing those ego-driven desires and taking them to infinity. Feel how different it is to create from fullness instead of from lack. From this space of wholeness, allow your true desire to emerge, not from what you think you need, but from what naturally wants to express itself through you. Rest in this awareness of your inherent wholeness. Observe how creation becomes effortless when it flows from this space of divine alignment. You don't need to force anything into existence, simply allow what is already whole within you to express itself in form. Your world is a reflection. In a small village among rolling hills, Dorothy crafted mirrors of exceptional quality. Every morning she examined her work, inspecting every detail for flaws. One mirror in particular troubled her. No matter how meticulously she polished it, the imperfections kept appearing. You, like Dorothy, may have noticed that your world seems to reflect what you least desire. The truth lies not in changing what you see but in understanding its source. The outside world functions as a perfect mirror, reflecting with unwavering accuracy the beliefs, thoughts, and emotions you hold within. When you perceive lack, the world shows you more evidence of scarcity. When you feel unworthy, circumstances arise that reinforce this belief. This is not punishment but the precise workings of universal law. Dorothy spent countless hours trying to perfect her mirrors until one day she noticed something profound. When she bent down to examine a flaw, she realized the imperfection moved with her. It wasn't in the mirror at all, it was her own reflection she had been trying to fix herself in that moment of clarity. Dorothy realized that her obsession with the flaws in her mirrors stemmed from her own sense of imperfection. Instead of continuing her futile attempt to correct the reflection, she turned inward. When she began to accept and love herself, something extraordinary happened. The imperfections she had struggled with seemed to disappear on their own. The mirror hadn't changed, Dorothy had. As her inner state changed, the outer reflection naturally transformed. Practice of the mirror of reality. Sit quietly and observe your surroundings. Observe the circumstances, relationships, and situations in your life that trigger the strongest reactions. These are your mirrors. With each reflection, ask yourself, what belief is manifesting in me? If you see lack, where do you feel incomplete? If you encounter resistance, where are you resisting it? If you experience judgment, where are you judging yourself? Write these correlations down without judgment. Remember, the mirror cannot show what is not present within you. By recognizing these reflections as internal projections, you gain the power to transform them at their source. The secret teachings of the great masters. In a vast library filled with ancient texts, Nathaniel dedicated his life to uncovering the secrets of existence. He traveled to distant lands, studied with masters, and collected wisdom from all traditions. However, the truth remained elusive until one night. As he sat surrounded by countless volumes of spiritual teachings. You, like Nathaniel, may have searched everywhere for the key to creation. The truth Nathaniel discovered that night was both simple and profound. Every spiritual tradition, stripped of its cultural trappings, reveals the same eternal principle. Thanks for listening to Boundless Books Audio, where knowledge fuels transformation. If you found this audiobook valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that helps you unlock your potential.